Bridging Realms is a part of the Bridging Realms Network in association with the Bridging Realms Project, with additional support provided by Realmies like you. Follow us on social media, Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at Bridging Realms Project.
We're back in Studio 51 for another episode of Bridging Realms. I'm Dr. Gene Carlisle.
And I am False Freedom 691.
And we're going to talk about aliens this week. We're going to talk extraterrestrials. We are still a little steamed from last week, still a little pissed off at Alien Con. We traveled all the way to fucking Dallas, Texas to try to go to this convention put on by the producers of Ancient Aliens. And they fucked us. They fucked us pretty hard.
They did fuck us, and Dallas, Texas is far away. Dallas, Texas is far away from anywhere in the fucking world. Anywhere you are, you're like, Dallas, that sounds really far. I don't want to fucking go there. But then you end up going to Dallas only to have your press passes denied. It's fucking bullshit.
Yeah, we did not expect that to be denied our press passes, and like we said, we are fucking elite level researchers here, so we are not gonna fucking buy a ticket, especially when we traveled all across the fucking nation state of Texas to get to Dallas. Like False was saying, it's fucking far from anywhere. Dallas is a shithole. We're pretty pissed about it. We did enjoy our stay at the La Quinta, but that was about it.
Oh, La Quintas are top end every time, you know. Even in a fucking turd bucket like Dallas, the La Quinta is going to be probably the gem of the city. It's probably the crown jewel of Dallas, that fucking La Quinta.
Yeah, and not the crown jewel of Dallas, fucking Alien Con. Because anybody who went there, we checked social media, it really didn't look like that fun of a time. The only people that looked like they were having fun were fucking Diamond David Childress and Giorgio Tsoukalos and all the fucking Ancient Alien crew just raking in their money, swimming in their fucking gold coins like some sort of Scrooge McDucks.
Guys, I want to go out on a limb here. If you have a Giorgio or David Childress sex tape from Alien Con, or even both of them together at the same time, send it in to us.
Please.
We'll pay upwards of $75 for that tape.
We will pay for that. We do need that leaked footage. I saw some Instagram posts that we've combed through these things, and we saw some of David Childress and Giorgio enjoying some beers with fans and stuff. And, you know, our detective eye, our watchful eye, noticed that these were in some sort of hotel room. So I think they did some after partying. And, you know, they may have gotten down into some sexual activity, which I'm sure they do. That's what cons are for. These people are celebrities now in the conspiracy community. I mean, me and False get groupies that we have to turn down sometimes. They're just trying to get to us and use their sexual prowess to get to our information. It's called a honeypot.
Yeah, and, you know, if I don't particularly have the same experience that Dr. Gene has, you know, about having to turn them away, but I would. I'm not going to lose my virginity like that.
On today's episode, we're looking at alien abductions. We're going to take a look at a few different cases, some high-profile, very famous cases, and along the way talk about alien abductions in general, too. First up, I wanted to look at the very first alien abduction account on record. This is pretty widely known. It's the story of Betty and Barney Hill, and it happened back in 1961. They were a couple that were driving in a truck on a remote dirt road and encountered a UFO that abducted them, essentially. They had some missing time originally, and then after the trauma subsided, came to realize what had happened to them. False, have you heard of this story?
I have not. This is a first for me for sure. Betty and Barney Hill though already kind of has me doubting it. Just the names, they sound like 1960 TV character names, 1950 maybe.
Right, it does. It does kind of sound like a fake name, but they claimed to be real people, and they were, just driving down an old country road in the White Mountains of New Hampshire. So this thing stopped their car, all their electronics and shit, their watches, whatever, stopped working, and these beings, these gray beings with large black eyes, took them aboard the ship, and it separated them. And from what I can tell from the story, they trimmed like hair and fingernail clippings and skin cells and shit from them. They bent Barney over something, and I'm assuming did stuff to his butthole. And then they took Betty and they shoved a needle into her stomach, like giving her some sort of crude pregnancy test. She remembers it being very painful. So, I mean, they got a pretty full abduction experience here. And this is something that went on to become almost a blueprint for alien abductions. Some people say because this was the first that everyone, making up these stories was just lying about it. I'm saying they were the first to come forward, and this is a pretty routine thing done by the Greys. We here at Bridging Realms have talked about this before,
Yeah, I kind of got to put a damper on this with a theory of my own, though.
What's that?
This really kind of sounds like the outcome of a typical weekend in New Hampshire in the first place, if I got to be honest with you. You get your nails clipped, you get your hair cut, some dude bends you over, starts sticking things in your butt, your wife's there, they're shoving shit in her. They call it the crude pregnancy test on that. They do call it the crude pregnancy test. There's nothing pregnant about it. You don't want to be pregnant when you get this test. But that's New Hampshire for you.
I'm not disagreeing on that there. That is definitely what I've, heard of and experienced from New Hampshire. But as far as alien abductions go, I do tend to believe what they had happen here, especially seeing as that these were Greys, essentially, that they were dealing with, and we know that Greys fucking love buttholes, right? And so they got all up in Barney's, and I'm sure they messed with Betty's and then just, didn't pay attention to her vagina at all and went straight into poking a fucking needle. They're like, oh, we'll just go to the uterus straight through her stomach. They're that disinterested in vaginas, I guess.
Yeah, just no interest. Maybe they thought it was a larger, wider butthole, an extra butthole. Some people have more than one buttholes. It's a normal condition to have more than one butthole.
Next up, with disclosure and UFOs so out there in the news, I want to talk about some of these famous people and political figures who have come out and said they've had UFO incidents or specifically alien abduction incidents. We've had UFO stuff in the past, like Jimmy Carter.
Yeah, that old house building piece of shit saw one when he was in the military. Right?
There's been mentions of it by presidents, by political candidates, Hillary Clinton mentioned UFOs. Bill Clinton had before that. Fucking John Podesta was in an email chain with goddamn Tom DeLonge.
And an elite pedophile ring to boot.
Right? So, it's out there in the media. Even Trump has fucking come out and said that he's not a believer in UFOs, even though the goddamn conspiracy community got his ass elected.
Yeah.
So he should be happy that they're going on with his people's QAnon LARP. I know you disagree on that, but...
Yeah, I definitely subscribe to QAnon, man. I've got the Q map in my bedroom, and I masturbate to it.
We're still arguing about the QAnon stuff in our research. We're getting that episode ready for you guys because I know it's going to be a big one, and it's gonna be heated here in Studio 51 when we get that deep into some conspiracy shit. But with these famous people with UFOs, we've got quite a few that have come out, including the president of fucking Chlamydia, or what the fuck is the name of that country?
Chlamydia?
Is it chlamydia? It's owned. I don't know if "owned" is the right word. It's owned by Russia.
Yeah,
like fucking Vladimir.
Owned is the right word.
Vladimir Putin bought it, I'm sure, or he just like walked in and took it, which is a normal Vladimir Putin thing to do. His name is Kursan Ilumzhikanov. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right, but we'll put it in the show notes. And he is the former president of the Russian Republic of Kalmykia. Kalmykia is what that is. Yeah. And now that he's not the president of that small Russian republic, he is currently the president of the International Chess Foundation. So dude plays a lot of chess.
Big step up.
Used to run a country. Also claims he was abducted by aliens on a trip to Moscow.
I gotta say right now, I don't want to play chess with a guy like that.
I mean, I probably would. I would really, blow the chess game just to talk with this guy about getting abducted by aliens in Moscow. That sounds nuts. It's nuts to me that he is such a high-ranking official, but is openly putting his story out there. And he even answers questions. He claims that they were beings not too different from us. He said they didn't look that much different from us. They were just far more advanced. And he said some profound things like, we are not alone. We are not unique in the universe, that these aliens looked like us.
It's probably just a bunch of fucking Russian guys running a psyop. You ever seen a Russian guy? They got fucking bulging black eyes every time.
So you're saying this could have been just KGB, just like some of Putin's guys, running a psyop, making this low-level, president, one of Putin's territories, think that he got abducted by aliens, making him go crazy.
Yeah, it really kind of sounds like the Russian version of MK Ultra, and just seems like they're running that psyop. They got these big, weird, gray, fucking bug-eyed men, and they're just feeding him full of bullshit about the fucking non-existent universe.
He did say that they shared many secrets about life and the universe with him, so I could definitely see that. They could have slipped him some drugs or something, and told him some weird shit, but he's very willing to talk about it, which is crazy. Someone else that's really willing to talk about this alien abduction stuff is the former First Lady of Japan. Around 2009, back when, we had a very awesome First Lady in Michelle Obama, and I know she's not your favorite, you're more of a Melania guy, but
yeah,
it's not all about looks, my man.
I prefer a First Lady whose nudes I can search online to prove that she is a lady. And there's also just something appealing, something erotic about Donald Trump's penis being inside of her, It's just, man, there's something about that just really sets me off.
Well, there's a lot to unpack there, False. And I'm going to leave that to the listeners on that one. On this Japanese First Lady, she has a lot to unpack as well. She believes in so many things, like past lives. She claims to have known Tom Cruise back when he was a Japanese man in a past life. Right? Which makes Last Samurai make so much more fucking sense.
Oh, yeah, they made a fucking movie about Tom Cruise's past life as a Japanese man.
Right. So maybe he found that out in Scientology and then was like, fuck, I gotta do this movie, dude. It's my destiny.
Yeah, Ken Watanabe played Tom Cruise in that movie.
wow, I think I just had my mind blown here on the pod, dude. Like, so Tom Cruise wasn't even playing himself there. Ken Watanabe was playing Tom Cruise. God, dude. Ken Watanabe's like the best actor. Fuck. Well, go back. We'll put that in the show notes. Maybe we can find a link to it. Go back and watch The Last Samurai. It fucking sucks. But now I'm going to have to go back, and maybe it doesn't suck now that I know that Ken Watanabe is portraying Tom Cruise in a past life who was friends with the former Japanese First Lady. That's fucking crazy.
Played by Tom Cruise.
Damn. Well, so this lady, she said she was abducted by aliens, and they fucking took her to Venus. And that's the main part of her story. She doesn't really describe whether they're grays or not. They didn't seem to do anything to her butthole, so I don't think they were grays. But they took her to Venus, which she described as very green. So I don't know about that. Venus is very close to the sun, and I could see it being hot as fuck.
Yeah, for sure. And, theoretically, she was just going back to her home planet, Right. She, could have been doing that. She could be a starseed. Now, her husband, the Prime Minister of Japan, when he heard this story, he told her decidedly that it was most likely a dream. So there's that. I mean, he's a government official. He doesn't want to put it out there that he believes in UFOs or aliens or night flights to Venus. Yeah, and he's probably just in one of those situations where every night his wife is like, oh, I had this crazy dream, and then like maybe sometimes she wakes up and she's pissed off at him because in the dream he's cheating on her.
Right.
So he's just running into that all the time. So he's just like, this is just another one of those crazy fucking dreams.
Right. A lot of these things get discounted by people calling them crazy dreams or hallucinations or drug, booze, sex-filled benders, But some of them have some crazy physical evidence, Like in the first story, Betty and Barney Hill came out of that torn up, banged up, and bruised. And in this next one, there's some physical evidence because this guy had some major missing time. We're talking about one of the most famous alien abduction stories and one of my favorite, known mainly by the movie title, Fire in the Sky.
I swear to God, the poster for this movie was on the back of every X-Men comic book for a year.
Right. It was so intriguing. It sucked you in. It got people interested in the story. And this movie was a big cultural event. I think it freaked a lot of people out about UFOs because it wasn't just like in the theaters, like Close Encounters and shit like that. This was on TV and had some decent special effects as far as the aliens go. I remember it freaking my ass out.
I've actually heard about this specific case that one of the reasons it's so big is because it can't be disproven thus far.
Right, and there were other witnesses. Travis Walton was the only one that went on to write a book, and I mean, he was the one abducted, but there were other witnesses to some things that happened beforehand. Travis Walton is the guy that this story is about. He'll be the main guy in the movie if you watch it. We'll try to put a link to the trailer or something, or maybe the link to a streaming service in the show notes. But Travis Walton, he was on a trip in the Apache Sitgreaves National Forest out near Snowflake, Arizona, and he was riding in a truck with 6 of his co-workers. He was a forestry worker, right? So he's riding with 6 other dudes, and they encounter a saucer-shaped object hovering. They said approximately like 110 feet away, and it's making a high-pitched buzz. So Walton gets out of the truck to go fucking check on it, and the thing shoots this beam of light at him and takes him onto the ship. His friends were freaked out, and they got the fuck out of there. They were like, fuck this, fuck Travis, he shouldn't have got out of the truck, we're fucking out of here. So they left. Travis comes to, like, a few days later on the side of the fucking highway. Right? So that's what happens. But he claims that during this abduction, he woke up on the ship, and he had these 3 little bald, short creatures over him, which I'm going to assume are greys. The description seemed like greys. In the movie, they kind of do look like greys, a little bit creepier. But he claimed he fought with these aliens. They were kind of over him, and he fought them off until a human in a helmet walked into the room and led him into another room where 3 other humans held him to a table and put a mask on his face, which knocked him unconscious. Then he came to on the side of the highway with the ship over him, and he saw it fly away.
Now, what state was this in again?
Arizona.
Okay, so not New Hampshire this time.
No, this was not in New Hampshire, which was surprising. Like, I had to check the Wikipedia page because I was like, this movie took place in New Hampshire, right?
Right.
I full on thought it was New Hampshire, but no, it is Arizona.
Okay, this one might be a little more plausible. This one might have a little more weight than what we've ran into thus far.
Right? There's not much that can be said about it. I mean, people think that maybe he just went on some bender, or he did this to write a book. You know, he did write a book called The Travis Walton Incident, and, you know, the rights to that were sold to make the movie. So people think, you know, him and his friends did it for money, but I don't think there was really that much money to be had with it.
No, I don't think there typically is with a deal like that. They probably sucker a guy like that pretty good. But as far as it goes, you know, I mean, that movie poster on the back of those comic books just still stick in my mind, and that they're saying that there's absolutely no evidence of him being in the woods during the time he was missing. I mean, it's just...
Yeah, no record. Nobody saw him, nothing.
It just kind of all adds up, and it's making me think about some things right now.
Yeah, Fire in the Sky is one of my favorite UFO stories, one of my favorite abduction stories. It's got a killer movie to go with it. I'd say it is definitely one for any skeptics out there. It's getting to False Freedom right now. He's going to be watching this movie tonight in amongst his normal, like, FAP sessions and leak searches.
I might not even have time to FAP to the typical material. I may have to go for a twofer. May have to go for a twofer on this one.
That's surprising to hear from False Freedom too.
Yeah.
Maybe you can get a little fear FAP in there. Get a little scared from the Alien movie and get a fear boner.
Yeah, maybe get a rope tied to a doorknob. You know, get a real good fear boner.
Well, make sure it's a rope and not like some sort of red handkerchief or something, so we know that you weren't suicided by the Illuminati. Nothing wrong with a little autoerotic asphyxiation, just gotta let us all know that, you know, if you go a little too far and off yourself, that it wasn't the deep state, because that's always a possibility too.
Open your mind and journey through the cosmos of the universe. This is Bridging Realms with Dr. Jean Carlisle and False Freedom 691. All disclosure is non-refundable.